Thank you, Jorge. We will sing the Lord's Prayer and meditation hymn, followed by Janette's meditation and message titled, The Eye of the Needle.
You to begin with breath as they assemble themselves. If you would like, close your eyes. It's a great way to leave the physical world and to connect. And on this deep breath, join in the dance of your own spirit, breathing deeper and deeper within. Travel to a place within yourself and bow to that deep wisdom within. A wisdom that's been there through all time, for you are timeless. Breathe in the gift of life. Breathe in the trust of your Creator. The next breath, breathe in resilience and confidence in your inner knowledge. And with this breath, I invite you to let your mind float and flow with the tones and the sounds of the music, to drift. As we breathe in, we remember that we are united with all, that we are one with all. We imagine the divine sometimes as distant and inaccessible, whereas in fact, we live steeped in its burning layers. I invite you to come back. Thank you, Jay, for playing your flute today. Did you enjoy that? It's very different. Thank you. I love it. I love it. There's so much newness happening right now. We've been working in the office very closely with the new minister, Reverend Aubrey Lynn, and she is gung-ho. She's ready to go. And I remember the affirmation that we had on the wall for so many months about our new minister will bring us unlimited possibilities. And now I ask you to affirm that you will be open to all of the unlimited possibilities. Open, open, open. Today's message is an interesting one. It actually came to me quite a few months, even before I took on the job as the administrator. And before I go any further, I've had a few people ask me how I feel about the job ending and if I'm okay with it. Believe me, I'm okay with it. You don't have to laugh that hard. The truth of the matter is I have several passions, and one of them is my grandchildren and also the Peace Park. And the Peace Park is just such a big deal right now. We're doing great big things. We'll be doing a presentation at the library on May 14th to unveil the plans for the re-landscaping of that park. So please come, and there's a little plug in there, but it's really fun and exciting. And yesterday we did a beach cleanup, and a group from the Unity in the community came and helped, and it was a really beautiful day at the beach. I don't know if anyone was down there. They had kites flying. It was just really wonderful. So thank you to those who participated in helping to clean up our beaches. So the eye of the needle came after a meditation. I was meditating on some things I had been reading, and as I came out of it, I just specifically saw like the eye of a needle. And I thought, oh, the eye of the needle. I remember something about this with church. And then my husband called to check in. He does that very often throughout the day, which I appreciate. And I said, hey, what do you remember about the eye of the needle? Like this thing from church. He goes, oh, that was the time that the minister would ask for money. He grew up in a Lutheran church, and he was like, oh, that meant the minister was going to say, we need some money. Remember this eye of the needle? So then I was like, well, gosh, I don't remember church that well because I was probably not paying attention. So I decided to look it up a little bit, and guess what I found in a church office? I found this Bible. So I decided to look in there, and I found that it's actually referenced 3 different times. It's referenced in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. They talk about this thing where, let me just read it to you because I'll make sure I get it right. So here, this is in Luke. And this would be in Luke chapter 18, verse 25. And so this is supposedly what Jesus said. I say supposedly because I don't believe everything I read in the Bible, because I read a lot of other things that make me think otherwise, but also because I have a connection with Jesus, and I know he was never about guilt, and he was never about fear. So it says here, Jesus is looking at him and said, how hard is it for those who have riches to enter the kingdom of God? For it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. So they're talking about this camel going through the eye of a needle. And I really started investigating, like, where does this saying come from? How does this work? And so in a little while, I'm going to tell you some other things that I found that were very interesting and some different interpretations about it. The eye of the needle was actually, some people believe, was a small door in Jerusalem. So when they would close the big gates at night, there was a small door that people could get in, but you couldn't bring anything that could possibly cause trouble. And so what they would say is, well, a rich man would have to like leave all his things behind in order to come in. He couldn't, and they said even a camel probably wouldn't get in unless it was crawling. And I don't think camels crawl well, so I doubt that they did that. So you could say metaphysically that it meant that it would be far easier for you to connect with spirit if you can separate yourself from all the things of this world. I can do that, okay, I can go there. But then when I started looking at the eye of the needle a little closer, then I started reading, and I saw that when they're trying to translate Aramaic language into Greek and English and all of that, they really get confused about some of the words. And the word for camel is camelos, and the word for rope or knot is camelos. So now there's some people who question if that's actually what Jesus would have said. Did actually he mean that it would be easier for a rope to go through a needle or to pull a knot through a needle, so they start wondering if that's true. But then when you even go further into it, what I found out is in the Babylonian Talmud, they have applied all these different aphorisms, and there was a saying that's really old. This goes way back, and I'm thinking it probably was something that was even read when Jesus was a child, that they would say something like, nor an elephant going through the eye of a needle. So there's this thing about trying to put animals through needles of an eye I don't quite follow. But then what's interesting is it was used to also, this kind of phrase was used to kind of be a put down to some in the, I'm going to see if I can say this right, the Pombidia. They were very famous for using things like, what are you, a Pombidian? When you try to push an elephant through the eye of a needle, like you're full of foolishness. Okay, so this whole thing goes way back, and it starts to make me question, what was the real origin of the saying? How did it end up in these books? And did he really say it? Now, there was this thing about if you let your money go, that you would somehow be more holy. In fact, even the disciples say, and this is in here too, they say something, they say, like, lo, it'd be like King James, right? Lo, I have forsaken my home and my family to follow you, so therefore I am entitled to the kingdom of heaven. But then I was thinking about this word lo, and when I thought about it, I thought, what if it's not actually like Charles Bronson, like, who was the guy in Moses? Charlton Heston. Thank you, Hillary, for pulling me through. I needed you today. So he's like, lo, I brought these stuff, right? Okay, so what if it was actually lo was kind of like yo back in those days? Think about it. What if the disciple was like, yo, I have given up everything. And Mary was like, dude, we have been following you in worn out sandals. We better get our place on the right-hand side of God. And Jesus is like, cool it, everybody. Just try to get a camel through an elephant or something. And then, right? So I was researching these very heavily, even before I knew I was going to give this talk, because it was very curious to me. It's like, why do we even think any of this is possible? So we have to go way back into really ancient scrolls. And we're talking about scrolls that were 300 years old in 175 BC, okay? And those scrolls had a lot of things in them. And there was a lot of things that were put in the Bible that are actually kind of interesting to me. At the same time period as this whole elephant eagle thing is that there was the Song of Songs. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this because I found this is all going to connect. I'm not just digressing. You'll see. I'll connect it in the end. And the Song of Songs was something that they would say thousands of years ago when it meant this was the best of the best. So if I said to you, we went out last night and we had the pizza of pizzas, you'd go, that's a good pizza, right? And so when you hear the phrase, that old phrase, the Holy of Holies, you've heard that? I love that. And sometimes even when I'm just getting ready to rest at night, I'll say, I just want to be in with the Holy of Holies, because this is like the most greatest thing. So the Song of Songs was changed, and we usually refer to it now as the Song of Solomon. But when I was reading the Song of Songs, which is in here too, I wondered why it was considered holy, because, holy man, it's very, like, what does this have to do with God? So, am I in control here yet? I'm not in control. What do I need? Am I pushing the wrong one? Wait. Okay, so like in 1853, this artist, I forgot his name, I got notes, it doesn't matter. He creates a picture. This is like Solomon and his girlfriend talking in the Psalms. You know why I'm here late at night at church is because I'm reading this stuff, and this is so saucy. So they are talking about like her garden, and he's going to go visit it and stuff like that. And they're like, behold, you are my love, you are beautiful, your eyes are doves. And she's talking back to him like, oh, daughters of Jerusalem, you don't want this love that I have. And then you read this, I actually think it could be a great rap song because you'll see when I get to some more of the lyrics. And there would be a part where they'd be rapping like doodle-doo, like he's out in the garden. And anyway, so this artist comes up with this in 1953. He's got it all wrong because they talk about her skin being as dark as night. She was ebony. She had dark skin. She was not white. And then there's some more things in here. He describes his love. Let me see, which button do I push? Okay, so they're talking about this garden, and that's a secret garden, and he's going to go smell her flowers and stuff. 2 pages of this. Now, I have to tell you, I'm reading this and I'm thinking, 5,000 years from now, anthropologists, they're going to be digging up tablets. They're not going to be in stone. They're going to be our old iPads. And they're going to go, how do you translate this? Beyonce must have been a god. And they're going to be like, and booty seems to be the code word for God because they love the booty. And then there'll be like somebody who's critical going, maybe they just really love their bodies. No, obviously, clearly, they had all of these gods and idols that they really, think about it, okay? It's going to happen. Some of you may reincarnate and you'll go, wait, I don't know, was it? And then those songs that we listen to on the radio are going to be in books as the very, very important songs that people are going to use for spiritual guidance in the future. And I'm concerned. They're going to wonder what we were doing. I wonder what we're doing. Well, anyway, here's the thing I know. This is why I know this artist got it wrong. So he talks about her hair. Her hair is like a flock of goats moving down the slopes of Gilead. And the goat's like, what? And you're thinking, that picture you saw from 1850, no goats there? What does that even mean? These people have been out in the sun a long time. Wait, he goes on. He says, and her teeth are like flocks of ewes who've been washed and sheared. So now we get an image of her. What? Her teeth are like shaved sheep, but twin sheep, which must mean they were straight. Does that seem right? So we're getting an image of this beautiful queen. And it goes on, and she talks about him, and she wants you to know, this is all in this book I found in the back of church. Just wait. She wants you to know that he is like a gazelle or a steed on a mountain of spices. Think of that Old Spice commercial. So as I was researching for my talk, I realized that you shouldn't take anything literally that's in the Bible, okay? And even if they say Jesus said it, I'd have to think about, what did Jesus want to know? When you look at some of the meanings of these things and the eye of the needle, what's actually really beautiful is that what was said in these old texts was, the Holy One said, open for me a door as big as the eye of a needle, and I will open for you a door through which you may enter tents and camels. Do you feel the oppositeness of that? So now we're talking about where Spirit is telling these people, and it's not about that you shouldn't have nice things or enjoy things. It's about just be even the tiniest bit willing, the smallest opening. And I see this repeatedly in different spiritual texts. If you just open a little bit, Spirit's going to flow in. Just give me a gap. Make the space somewhere in your life for it. And when I read that interpretation of the eye of the needle, I believed it. I don't have to buy a camel anymore. So, when we was thinking about this, though, I do want to talk about giving because it's such an important topic. And it comes with some heaviness, too. And I have to tell you, a couple years ago, I read Catherine Ponder's autobiography, which is, hers was a prosperity love story. She wrote a lot of books on prosperity. She was the queen of it. She was actually considered by many people to be the first spiritual person to really talk about how prosperity was okay and how to live it, think it, and be a part of the abundance. And her rags to enrichment is her story of where she really had nothing. And she's still around. I think she probably lives a very private life because she's quite old now. I first got introduced to Catherine Ponder's thing when I worked here over a decade ago, and I would see some of her newsletters were coming through at that time, and I was just blown away at the intensity of what she was writing because it had so much fierce belief in it. You know, God is my source. God is my source. And there's no one or nothing else. This is the only thing. And as I was reading these things, I said to my husband, let's try tithing more. I think we should do this. Let's just try it for a year. Let's do it differently. And a couple things there's that once in a while, there's that month you're like, if we didn't do that, we could do this. But then you just do it anyway, and you do it for the spirit and joy of it. Now, I can't say that we found bags of gold outside of our door because we did this. But I think there's abundance that shows up in our lives that are ways that we don't even recognize, we don't even see, because it shows up so subtly. Like you get an amazing deal on something that you need, or maybe you came through something that almost could have happened, or maybe you see a blessing on your family, or something. There's other ways. Abundance isn't only cash. It's showing up in joy. There are moments that I have found joy flow through me, and I don't know where it came from. I'll be standing like in the kitchen, and all of a sudden I can't stop laughing. I don't know. I'm not going out of my mind. I know what you're thinking. No, but there was just this like, what is this? It was like, you know what? You can't afford not to give of yourselves. You just can't. Now, there's some principles that are out there that are changing. There's people changing. Have you heard of the giving culture? And this actually goes way back to Native American thinking on the way that they would give. And it's a giving culture, or the gift exchange is a mode of exchange where valuables are not traded or sold, but rather given without an explicit agreement for immediate or future rewards, just because we can. And this contrasts with the bartering or the selling. This is not about exchanging. It's purely about giving. What the nice thing about this is all the small gestures that we all do every day add up and make a difference and create a different world, instead of the world where we believe we have to pay for everything and that there's a price for everything. We start saying, no, I know the source is different than this. And it's such a challenging thing. I'm a Course in Miracles student. I know I've shared that with you many times. And one of the lessons that I've really been holding on to for a couple of years is lesson 105, God's peace and joy are mine. And in this lesson, there's a phrase that I try to remember often. You have to reverse your thinking so that giving is no longer a source of fear. This is opposite of what the world teaches us. The world teaches us that we don't have enough. Now, last year when Reverend Monica was here, she talked a lot about mission-centric. And as I was starting to study it on my own, because I was curious about it, I saw that the mission-centric has a different thought system about giving. What I heard for many years is that you should give where you are spiritually fed. Mission-centric is different. Mission-centric says, give where you want to see something grow. You are already doing it. We are all doing it. You are supporting the things that you want to see more of. You're doing it with your family, your friends, what you purchase. I think for me a perfect example would be buying organic food. Even when the kids were younger, it was more expensive, and I would do it within my budget, but I would make the choice because I wanted to see more of it in the store. Like I consciously was thinking that, like I'm gonna, these organic vegetables are more than these, but I'm gonna buy these because I want this to keep happening and I want to see this supported. We do it when we donate or help or clean a beach or whatever. We want to see more of this coming to us. So we're already doing it. The other thing that mission-centric teaches is that you are source. That you, being part of the oneness of spirit, are now source. So then instead of it being this far out thing, and I grew up in a Catholic church where God was always here and I was always trying to get closer, but in the consciousness that we have now of oneness, we start seeing that I am light and you are light, we are all light, and that's where our equality comes in. And so when I say that I am source, what can I do as source to help? It changes. It just changes the rule book completely. Now, I know what you're thinking. Don't give her the checkbook. Don't worry. It's okay. There's a balance. So what happened to me in this new year is, well, it actually happened before that, last fall. I took a business class with SCORE. I wanted to learn how to do a business model better. And one of the models was, what if you give it away? And I'm sitting there in the classroom going, free. Holy cow. And then I was talking to another friend. I was trying to figure out what to do with my business. And he said, give it away, Janette. Just give it away. And I said, what? It felt right, though. It felt good. And then my business mentor said, Janette, you should get this book. It's called It's Your Call. And I haven't read all of it, but as I was reading some of the pages, he references a book that's called Give Yourself Away. And I started to see this pattern that was just coming through over and over again, that there was something so much more to give. But I thought, what do I have? What do I have that I can give? And then I realized everything that I have isn't even mine. I'm just borrowing everything. Every single thing. Every space I take, I'm just borrowing it. And Native Americans will say that we borrow the earth from our grandchildren. That means my grandchildren are borrowing it from their grandchildren. Do you see what I mean? And when we start seeing it as not being so much of our own possession, it's so much easier to let go of the grip and see what will come. I am not telling anyone that you should not enjoy abundance and good things or absolutely great vacations, whatever. Do it all in gratitude. Not out of pride, we do it out of gratitude because we're grateful. And besides, it's an expression of giving. We have to accept God's peace and joy to learn a different way of seeing. Heaven's peace and joy intensify with our accepting of it. There's something that I call God's math. God's math doesn't add up. There's no bean counters. There's no plus and minus. God's math is just this expansion where giving increases gifts to the giver. I don't know how God's math works because they didn't teach this in elementary school. But I know that I've read that God's joy increases when we accept the gifts that are provided for us. Got to open these channels. So love, eternity, limitless are secured forever. In this same lesson, 105, they talk about give love to find love, to increase it. Give unlimited to be limitless. Give timeless to be eternal. What if I changed these words, though? I thought to myself to live instead of give. And I said live love, live unlimited, live timeless, live forgiveness. And I liked it. It felt easier to say live than give. And then it becomes our own, just what we are and how we're breathing and what we're doing. We are offered so much. We are part of this amazing energy, and we are so caught up in believing that we are this form. The form takes a lot of energy. It does. You got to wash this thing. I mean, cut that hair. Rodney's haircut looks great. But you have to offer peace and joy to help it expand. One of my favorite phrases that Catherine Ponder says is, let there be peace within my walls and prosperity in my palaces, and I am as confident as heaven. And when I took this job as the administrator, I said, I am confident as heaven that I will not be doing this long. And I believed it, and it is true. You have to have some sense of belief in it. Part of the text in the Course talks about healing as joining. And thoughts increase by being given away. Here's what we have that we are all giving at all times that you can never squander is your ideas. You can say, but I don't have this, but you do have ideas. And whenever you give an idea away, you do not lose it. It's sort of like that Buddhist thing. When you light another candle, you don't lose your own flame. So by sharing your ideas, you are expanding. And those ideas become an expansion, especially great ideas. And when you give them to other people, they start creating other things. I'm seeing this with the Peace Park. It started out with some sketches. I sat at a bar with a friend, Bob Fleming, and he said, hey, look at these ideas I have for the Peace Park. I said, what do you think? I said, I think it's a really good idea. And now it's got a life of its own because everybody's bringing in new ideas and new things are expanding. And the same is going to be happening here. The new minister is going to be coming in. She's going to have new ideas. And you're going to have an opportunity to become part of all of those new ideas and bring in your ideas and expand upon it. Oneness is a great challenge. It's a huge challenge because we think we're all individuals here. But when we get into oneness consciousness, we have no fear. We're all in this together, and we're so bigger, and we're so much more beyond. We have to go into the highest part of our mind to do this. And the thoughts that we think with our Creator, our Source, are the ones that are true. It requires some tapping in. It requires some training to try to remember to ask. And then it requires so much confidence that what is happening is exactly going to be the right thing. when we honor the laws of God, and one of the laws of God is where getting becomes meaningless and giving becomes all. That is divine knowing. And we remember that we already have everything, and that our soul holds by giving. How does that math work? How does it work that my soul is holding by giving? I don't know, but let's just try it, okay? And thus, like our source, we become creators, and we understand kindness. Remember that this kind of thinking is totally alien to this world. It is not part of the physical form. It is part of that energy network. Some people will talk about sacred geometry. They'll talk about that interfacing of this energy. I love to talk about angels and sense that they're here and they are abundant and they just want to be expanded also. And in my training with angels, they talked about these different levels, 7 levels or whatever, and I don't remember all that. And then I asked the angels, how do you feel about that? Like, the seraphim are here, the cherubim, and they're like, we're just all love. We don't care. They're doing their job. I'm doing my job. You know what I mean? Like, it starts to equal out, and trying to find an equal plane. By sharing an idea, you expand it. It's not lessened at all. It's still yours, even though you gave it away. The people you give ideas to, whom accept it, reinforce it in their mind, and they become the givers too. You have to accept the concept that the world is one of ideas. The whole belief in the false association in which the ego makes between giving and losing is gone. This is a process of reawakening. And who doesn't want that? When I was reading through, you guys all look so serious. I'm kind of trying to lighten it up. I don't know if I have any more jokes on my papers. I want to tell you to love fiercely. And then I realized that we don't even know what love is because it's so commercialized, it's sexualized, it's goatitized and sheepatized, and all of those things, right? We're trying to all fit into the herd. There's another concept out there. It's called the gift economy. I saw this, actually it came through maybe on a Facebook post or YouTube, and I started following it a little bit. And as soon as I heard the words gift economy, I knew I was going to like it. I knew it was going to resonate with me. So I'm going to reference a little bit. It's called Sacred Economics. This was by George Eisenstein. And he talks about this new exchange system that they're exploring, the blur of the boundaries between the monetary and the non-monetary realms, and therefore the standard definition of the economy changes. And really, what is economy, he asks? Underneath all of this euphoria of money, slips of paper, bits in the computers, what changes when the economy grows or shrinks? How could we measure it in the absence of the common unit of an account? Ultimately, what economics attempts to measure underneath money is the totality of all that human beings make or do for each other. What we make or do for each other is what true economy is. It's not those billionaires sitting in chairs. Sorry, guys. There's something else that's happening, and there's a shift that wants to happen. I know you know it's true because you're feeling it. Your heart is open to it. And every little thing that you've ever done is remembered and magnifying, even if you don't remember opening the door for a stranger. Every time you show kindness, you've done it. They're trying to reduce this esteem and prestige numbers and trying to bring more equality through it. What happens is you try to get to where you have connect the provider of a gift with the person who needs the gift. That's what the new economy could look like. And then, of course, you have to acknowledge and honor those who have given generously for their gifts. But then how do you coordinate the gifts of many people across time and space in order to create things transcending the needs of gifts so that they couldn't get to the individual? And then this goal becomes just being open, right? If you can just stay open, you'll know. How many times has somebody brought something to your door or handed to you at work or a piece of paper or something and it was just what you needed? I'm sure it's happened for all of you. It happens for me. And it's always a beautiful thing. An opportunity, the words, the right thing. So when you think about how can we give, I'm not sure what yours will be or how it'll be. But I know that we are nourishing each other by everything that we do, even by smiling and breathing. I believe that each one of us has this possibility to make a difference, and it's not just in financial ways. If I could tell you just one thing, what would it be? Be fearless about your giving, about your loving, and your forgiving. And first and foremost, always just forgive and be kind to yourself. For the times when you say, oh, maybe I could have been a little better at that or given that, or why didn't I leave a bigger tip? That person actually, this was little thing. Forgive it, move on, and keep going. I believe in the power of love of this community. I believe in every one of you. And I know that as we grow and learn, that this new economy comes through in all the new and little ways. And with that, I bless you, and I give you the idea of the gift economy. So thank you so much for listening today. You guys are really good listeners.